Soon you're on. You're out.
Okay. We're going to open this meeting, Employment and Police Committee, to interview two different firms. And we will start with
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
BB and, I guess what they call you,
It's not
BB and
BB&T, I
T.
don't think.
B&B Consultants.
So for the members here and for the guys here, what we have is we've been using a general services contract, and the term has expired. And I think we had an original term of 2 or 3 years, 3 years, and I think we extended it for 2 additional years. And I do think by state code, I think 5 years or a certain amount of money would be the cap, maybe $500,000. I don't remember the exact figure, but we're considering that the time has expired because I think the time has expired. And this is a general service engineering. We have 3 interviews set up, one at 1, 2, and 3 o'clocks. And they are here to do their interview. This is Alfred Tucker. He's one of our town councilmen. Mr. Hamner, as you may or may not know, is also councilman. And Barbara Thompson is the president of council and the chairman of this particular committee. And this committee was assigned because the mayor assigned it to you. I don't know. They're not water and sewer. They're not streets. They are. They deal with employment and hiring decisions. So I'll turn it over.
All right. Do I have to speak to the microphone?
Everybody's going to listen to everybody.
And it helps out too that everybody can hear better. If I stand on my back to the council, I don't think they can hear it well.
Sure. Well, first I wanted to start by saying thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to, selecting us to come here to interview with you. B&B, well, I'm sorry, let me start with, I'm Sam Carroll. I'm part owner of B&B Consultants, and with me today I've got Mac Bug, the founder of B&B, and still well active in most of our projects, and Randy Jones, one of our lead civil engineers. So we've been very fortunate to have provided the town of Blackstone engineering services for more than 20 years, I believe, is it not, Mac? And we greatly appreciate that, and we look forward to hopefully continuing to provide those services. I prepared a PowerPoint, but we did not bring a projector, so instead I also brought some handouts, so I think everybody has one there in front of them. I'll try to just breeze through here. I didn't touch on anything in particular, being that this is an open-end agreement, but just wanted to go over some of the basis of our services just as a reminder. I know we get to work directly with Philip on a regular basis, but it's not often that we get to be in front of the council and you guys get to see who we are and what are some of the things that we do for the town. So to start, if you flip to the second page, the project team. Project team begins first with the town of Blackstone. You are the client. What you say, what you ask for us is what we are trying to accomplish and go about. With that, our 4 key personnel, myself and Mac Bug, Randy Jones, and also James Epps, who is the other part owner of B&B Consultants. Of those, some of the other key personnel members that work on a lot of the Blackstone projects that aren't here today with us, Brittany Garnett is one of our professional engineers. Also Alexis Jones, who's one of our environmentalists, and inspectors, Andy Bug and Earl Hudson and Robbie Williams, and our survey manager, Larry Hartsoe. Larry's responsible for any and all the topographic or boundary surveys or anything that we do for the town. Going to the next page, our services. I'm not going to go over all these in detail, but many of these are just some of the services that we are already providing to the town of Blackstone, including the water and wastewater treatment plants, the water distribution systems. I'm going to, after I go through these two, we can talk about some of the current ongoing projects we have, and also some of the things that we're keeping in mind for Blackstone and growing in the future. But the sanitary sewer collection system, I'm sorry, let me back up. The water distribution and wastewater treatment plants, if you're not aware, we're already working on design of some upgrades at your water and wastewater plants right now, and a water distribution, a fairly extensive water distribution system improvement program to change how pressures at Fort Pickett and blend all into town will work together. And we plan to get those projects out to bid here this spring and hopefully start construction shortly thereafter. Sanitary sewer collection system, we were the engineers that did the upgrade back in 2012. I think I recall the town was under a consent order with DEQ with numerous sewer overflows and failures at the pump station, and we went through and did an I&I study, identified many problem areas, and did a large rehab project and new sewer installation and upgrades to your pump stations that brought you back into compliance. And Philip, you haven't had any problems with DEQ since that project, have you?
Not on this particular matter.
Okay, all right.
I'm sure we have other,
Good. I'm sorry.
issues that they'd like to talk about.
And I feel that project was, again, very successful. Some of the other things, site development, roadways, sidewalks, and streetscape and design, we've done a lot of that here around the town. I think most recently several small side streets and adding curb and gutter, the town square here. And then also stormwater management. That's something that typically goes along with the site development that the town normally wouldn't get involved in so much, but actually we're doing a project over at the airport now, designing a regional stormwater basin to try to accommodate all the property over there for current development and future development. And of course, full surveying services, boundaries, topographic surveys, and environmental and water laboratories. Those are some of our just some of the general services that we provide, and feel free to stop me if anybody has any questions at any time. And then if you flip to the next page, new services. Since we had interviewed last back in 2013, these are some new services we've added since then, and that includes wetland and stream delineation and permitting, inspection services for compliance with the wetland and stream impact permitting. In the past, we had outsourced these to another firm. Well, since then, we've had new staff, Alexis Jones and Chelsea Taylor, that joined us, and we opened up a small office over in Emporia that they work out of. And they have a large background in wetland and stream permitting and impacts. It's not something that the town of Blackstone would normally be concerned about, but most of our projects somehow cross a wetland or a stream and result in the permit being needed. We're doing that now with the water, the distribution system improvement. We've had to get permits for those. Licensed AOSC or soil scientist, that's Alexis Jones. She is a licensed AOSC. That's an authorized on-site soil evaluator. And also we have now certified stormwater plan reviewers and inspectors. Again, that's a service that the town of Blackstone normally would not require, but I just wanted to make you aware of some of the things that we've added since then. That we're a growing firm. We stay up to date with the current regulations and the industry practices, and all in an effort to better serve our clients. Before I go on to the next page, Mac or Randy, did y'all want to add anything?
We may be the only firm in the state of Virginia, from a water and sewer standpoint, that we design the water and sewer systems. We have the water and wastewater laboratory that can do testing. We do the testing of your effluents from your sewage treatment plant now, and any other type of testing that may come up. And we also operate sewage treatment plants. And of course, you all operate your own, but we do contract operations. I think it's unique that we not only design them, we operate them, and we have a testing services. I don't know of any other firm in the state that does all of those. And I don't, Sam's going to get into some other stuff here, but we also have we have a computer model of your water distribution system. And that's probably, for somebody else to develop one, is probably $10,000–$15,000 to put one together. You got to have the type of materials in your water lines and where they are and the lengths and everything. So we've taken the town maps and got as much information about the type of material so we could put the friction, each, depending on what kind of material it is. If it's PVC, it's slick and it'll go through quick. If it's ductile iron and gets old, it moves slow through it. So what does that mean to you? By having that information, if you have a industrial prospect to come and they want to know what the fire protection, how much fire flow can you deliver to a certain point in your distribution system, we can give that information. All you have to do is call us, and within an hour or two, we can tell you, using the model, what kind of flows and pressures. And I think that should be, I think that's pretty valuable to the town. A lot of our clients do that. When an industrial prospect comes in, they want to know how much fire flows. Well, we can give you that. I don't think anybody else will give it to you until they could develop a computer model of your system, which is a lot of work and digging to do that. From a water and sewer standpoint, we store the information there in the computers, but before we started using the computers, we got filing cabinets full of information on Blackstone's water and sewer. You've had people leave just like everybody else. A lot of the knowledge is gone. A lot of that knowledge we already have in our files somewhere or in our computers. And I think that's the value to it. I just thought that was something that you should know.
I was always under the impression we had 2 or 3 here, the only ones that knew anything when it come to the sewer or the waters, but apparently that is a thing of the past now.
Yeah.
I know we had one man here, worked for the town for years and years and years. We wondered who was going to take his place as far as these lines and so forth, and his knowledge mainly.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been still operating since he died, so.
You got a good man there in Andre, but he hasn't been there back in history. You don't have a whole lot, too much history,
That's right. Yeah, he's a good fellow.
You both bring up really good points. As Mac was saying about the computer model we have of the system, we developed that model from available drawings, maps, and just whatever data we can get. And two, and the same with the sewer system. Being when we went through the I&I study, we developed an overall map of the entire town of Blackstone, and then have been fine-tuning. As we find more and more detail, we can fine-tune that map. And so that's one of the nice things too. I feel like what B&B or one of the things we can provide is we weren't hired to just generate a model and then we didn't touch the model until we got hired on the next project. We're forever updating and adding to our models and our maps, just making them larger, better, more information as we go.
Stay on top of it.
Exactly, yes. Because it makes, it's good for you all, but it's also good for us. It makes our life easier if we don't have to, reinvent the wheel every time we get a new project or something. We're constantly updating those maps. And, something you brought up about knowing where the water and sewer is and having one man that knows it all. I think I've heard that from just about every small town around here, and that one man is either since passed away or getting ready to retire, and then everybody's worrying a little bit about what to do next. Something that Blackstone, as far as I know, we haven't done, and I don't think Blackstone has done. We've done for the other towns around here though, is GPS locate all your components. Valves, fire hydrants, manholes, any of that stuff. We can do so at a relatively low cost. That might be something y'all want to consider in the future. And by GPS locate, I mean we take our surveying instrument, we ride around and we'll shoot every valve or hydrant, meter, and so if it gets paved over or we don't know where it's at, you're not just looking at a drawing that says, oh, okay, what's in the street somewhere over here, and you got to try to find it. You know exactly where it's at. And that's another bit of information that we add to our model, making it more accurate and more, more useful to the town and us. Randy, I brought Randy Jones with us today because he is our lead project manager, and he works very close with Philip, and he works with the, trying to decipher, what exactly are the town's needs, and help him. We all work together as a team to prepare the design and the documents, but then Randy will administer the contracts and work with the contractors and make sure that they're doing their job appropriately. And he could probably talk briefly about some of the current projects that we've got going on, if y'all want, or if time is important.
That's fine.
Okay. Randy, you mind giving just a brief rundown of some of the current projects?
Currently, we are working with the town on the wastewater plant equipment improvements. There's a lot of equipment that has wore out and needed to be replaced. And we are also working on the water plant for the same issue, equipment replacement. And as Sam mentioned earlier, we are doing some improvements in Fort Pickett and the town, excuse me, with the water system to convey water to the town better than present. You only got one line that feeds from Fort Pickett into town, so if that line should break or whatever, you don't have a supply from the water plant to the elevated tanks. We're also working on Amelia Avenue, looking at doing some street improvements there, relocating the water and sewer from beneath the streets, outside the street, but still in the right of way. And then following up with some curb and gutter, sidewalk to go from the bridge over to Nolloway Avenue, which we just recently finished on that. That was a neighborhood improvement as well. So those are the current things we got, and all of them are about to wrap up. And we're also doing some renovation to the alley over here on Main Street. But they're the current things we have on our plate. As Sam said, Philip and I have worked together for many years. We go as far back when he was with the county of Amelia. And so he keeps me in line. I try to know when he asks for stuff, he wants it pretty quick. So I try to do that. So, but that's what we currently have.
Thank you.
A curiosity question, you said one line coming from Pickett in water. How big is that? That line?
10 inch.
10 inches?
Yep. You've got a 10-inch line that feeds from Fort Pickett now into the town of Blackstone. It's ductile iron, and I think it was put in, probably back in the 40s? Yep. Yeah, back in the 40s.
Not a new line then?
Not a new line.
No. And what we're doing now, and that line comes in through the woods, somewhat paralleling West Entrance Road.
It's a ductile iron line. How was it put in the Ford? Were they using that, or was it cast iron?
Oh, it might be cast iron.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a metal pipe. It's either ductile iron or cast iron. Good point.
Just checking.
And
Is it still in good shape?
well, I mean, it's I wouldn't rely on it as my only source.
Any line can break, as you know, the
Yeah.
freezing like we just had, it can break.
And so what we're doing is adding another line down Route 40 to connect the town into the Fort Pickett system. And so now not only will you have two sources, but then they'll also create a loop system. So that'll help with the water flow and water quality and circulation. It also increases, there's some low pressure problems on the north end of Pickett, and it's going to increase some of the pressure out there. So we're resolving several issues with that.
One of the, and it's your time, but I'll just add, if you guys remember, gosh, just before Mr. Hamner was on town council, we started taking a look at that concrete reservoir that's over there on College Avenue. It started looking really old, and I said, man, wait a minute, there's water standing, and trees growing out of the top of it. And if you guys remember, we took a look at that thing, and I think B&B participated in the inspections, and it came back at approximately $400,000 to rehabilitate that tank, okay? Well, that's money we really don't want to spend. And two, I think some of the models these guys are coming up with, the age of the water, remember, we want to decrease the age of the water, so the more you have in storage, the older the
Yep.
water is, okay? And so that was really one of the things that got us started, and I promised Andre we wouldn't tear down that tank or disconnect that tank until we had a second source in the event. The old baby from Fort Pickett were to crack or break and Biggs or somebody couldn't get in and fix it. And that would be a big project for the town guys to jump on a 10-inch. I think Andre could do it. I'm just not sure that we could mobilize like a Biggs construction could with trench boxes and all those things and get the job done that quick, especially if it's down in the woods or at Maud Burnett's place. You remember Maud's down there? Big swamp then runs down through there. You're gonna have to have some pretty serious guys to get in that thing. So we need a second service in the event one goes down, and that's the intention of it.
Is that something would come under plan?
Well, probably not. We don't have a low-income neighborhood. You know, we can get some grant money for stuff if we have low-income neighborhoods, or if we're
Trailer
under.
park is down there, that is,
Where?
you gotta go right through that trailer park you're talking about, that
Yeah,
swamp
it's
in
in the county though,
Huh?
but I don't think it would qualify as a neighborhood by CDBG standards. These guys have done 100 of them. My experience is that probably wouldn't qualify for a community development block grant. I think we could probably go to USDA and maybe pick up some 50-50 money or whatever split they're working on nowadays. With relatively low interest, I don't know, we would get a zero, but a relatively low interest rate, and they would amortize it over 40 years, I think they're still going. Town of Burkeville, Joe Morissette said they're still paying for utilities that were put in the 70s. They're still making payments on it. Amelia County, we built that water tank. When Draper Aiden was still with the county, we built that water tank. That water project, you guys did like the last 3 or 4 phases. Draper Aiden did the first phase. But that water system, the first phase where the tank and certain portions of that project were put in, USDA gave us the money, and it was, like 3% money or 4% money over 40 years. But they gave us a significant deduction off the front with a grant, because we're rural development. Our incomes in Amelia probably would also work here in Blackstone. But as a young man, at age 31, I cured myself of using USDA money, and I cured myself of Ed Smith. I don't do either one of those anymore. It literally almost put me in Tucker's. The amount of money you pay in order to use their money, I think almost offsets it. And if you look at those utility bills up in Crew, they've got $70 and $80 a month utility bills, or sewer bills, in part because when USDA puts their hands on it, they require a rate study, and that rate study is what you stick to. And it doesn't give the council flexibility to tell folks, well, we had a good year this year, so you're gonna charge $80 a month. Whatever USDA agrees to is what you're gonna pay. USDA money is good money, but it is lots of strings attached and painful at best with Ed Smith reviewing plans. I don't like any of those entanglements.
They require you to have reserves on your debt, existing and new existing debt, your power costs, all your operating costs, you have to have a reserve. All that drives your rates up, because you put that in your annual revenue requirement, it drives your rates up. But you can use that money, but it does drive your rates up.
I've been through it one time in Amelia, and every phase thereafter, we went to VRA. If you remember, you came up to run up with me. That USDA money was the first money, and we even had to struggle with that. If you guys may or may not remember, we actually had to call the congressman to help us, because the money was being diverted to other places. It was a big mess, and I just don't think USDA money is that good. Now, VRA money, through Clean Water Board, I guess, or I don't know what they call it nowadays, but VRA gave us a 0% rate on the sewer project because we had a consent order, because the judge said, you're going to fix this, okay? That's where you can get some good money. At 0%, we came in under budget. Biggs' rate, or bids were low, and it got even better because DEQ finally, Walter Gills came back to us and said, we can't call it a grant, but we'll call it a principal reduction of $500,000. That was a good deal. That was a great deal, 0%. So is it eligible for some grant? I think we can find some. specifically with USDA, but man,
I got a curiosity question. Don't elaborate on it. Where did that water come from to that tank in Amelia?
it comes out of a series of wells behind the golf course of Steve Davis's property.
Series of wells?
Series of wells.
Okay. I know.
Yeah,
I know what-
They've got about 4 or 5 different wells around there.
Must be daggone good wells.
The reason we have some good wells in Amelia is Mac Bug recommended a guy in New Hampshire to us, and Draper Reagan was gonna come up with some characters I had never heard of, and I called Mac, I said, what do you think about this guy? This is 20 years ago. And I said, what do you think of this guy? He said, man, this character down here in New Hampshire has really helped us a bunch of times find water. And it was amazing. I still tell the story that he's got a radar system, a ground probing radar, and it was crazy, but he can put a stop on the ground, 75 gallon minute well, 80 gallon minute well, 110 gallon minute well. We only had one blowout, and that was over across the blinking lights, and one of the first ones we drilled over on Bobby Bourne's place, I think.
There's water in the ground, you can buy them.
He's tough. Series of high yielding wells that have not had any problem that I'm aware of as far as volume. Certainly did when I was doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Sam, you might add, when you were talking about the mapping, water mapping, we didn't talk about the water age and how that mapping happened.
Yeah, so,
Really, that brought it up.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, leading into, what Philip had talked about with the ground storage tank over here. One of the things that we determined, Philip asked us to take a look at the ground storage tank because he knew it was in disrepair and needed a lot of work done. And so we did, and we agreed. And, estimated cost around $400,000 of repairs. But then we stepped back and took a look at this thing and says, why do we even have the ground storage tank? Why is it even needed? With the water model, we're able to model the whole system in real time. You can see how it goes up and down throughout the day and how much water you use. And that tank probably was necessary, when it was first put in. But since then, things have changed at the base. Things have changed around the town. You have more elevated storage tanks. And there was really, not only did the tank not really serve a purpose anymore other than another 1 million gallons of water storage, but it was actually hindering you because it was creating a water age problem. Water age became more of an issue probably about 15 years ago or so with the EPA starting to crack down on disinfection byproducts. Basically, before then, if add chlorine, disinfect the water, it's good. Well, then they started looking at, all this chlorine we're adding, when it decays, it's still, the byproducts of that, all that's still there, and what does it do to you? And they found out that a lot of it's, cancer causing. And so now they've been cracking down on communities to reduce the water age and stay, keep the disinfection byproducts under a certain limit. And so by taking that tank out of the system, we've been able to, drastically decrease the water age in the system. You guys are using about how much water a day now?
I'll tell you, Ron, in the town of Blackstone, I don't get probably know, 400,000 or 500,000 gallons. I can tell you what we're using on sewer. It's, like 470,000 gallons or whatever.
About 500,000 gallons of water, and in the town, we've got the 2 500,000 gallon tanks. Is that correct?
Shop in the church.
Yep, and so that's 1 million gallons of storage in the air, and then another 1 million gallons on the ground. So you've got, if you use about 500,000 gallons a day, that's 4 days of storage in the system. So by taking the ground tank offline, and utilizing the 2 500,000 elevated tanks you have, that's 2 days of storage. So we're able to cut that out, right off the bat by removing that from the system. So.
But the state health department requires all public works and all water systems like Blackstone. You have to do testing quarterly for these disinfection byproducts. And if you go above the limit, it makes Philip's life miserable because you have to send out water notices to all your customers saying the water's not safe,
Carcinogens present and bacteria.
And it's just, your citizens get upset and it's the same water they've been drinking forever, but the health department makes you do that. But by reducing the water age, taking some of the tanks off, hopefully that'll help you eliminate that problem. going over the disinfection byproduct limit and have to send these notices out.
Well, I was on council when that campaign came about, because I remember some of the figures, but I think it cut it, we were shocked that, I call it stagnant water, been up there that long. We were using, well, nobody knows it, they don't know it, but
Well, we had the perfect storm of issues come up with the sewer all at one time. We got age, with 27 days of water. I think your model's up in the north end of town, so when I figured the water was almost a month old. Okay. We also started some of our flushing requirements. We started flushing on a more regular schedule. But I think what really caused the majority of the back T issues is Ray Weiland, who's the health department regional director, regional inspector, contract guy, he will no longer, the health department no longer allows the town to add additional disinfectant at the 1 million gallon reservoir. They stopped that, not because we were doing it wrong, but because we don't have licensed operators who are actually doing the chlorine application. They've been going on for 70 years, I guess, but now the health department says no more. So we were having to rely on the disinfection at the plant solely, and I think the water, we got too old and wasn't maintaining what is called a residual, or a chlorine residual, to a level that was satisfactory to keep the back teeth from growing. So if you remember, we failed the test first time, and I told Ray, oh, you're crazy, this can't be accurate, and then we failed it a second time. So I think we sent out some letters and notices, and that's the same bacteria type that Daphne Cole was up there, Daphne was speaking to the other night at the council meeting for advocating for dog stations and bags and all that sort of thing. So, E. coli, bacteria and bacteria. So I think we've got balance again. I think the operators have figured out how to raise levels without affecting THMs and all that, but Matt can tell you more.
But you know, by having the loop system, water can go both ways. It can go into part of Pickett and come into town, and town water can go back in there. It helps your fire protection because you get water fed from 2 directions rather than 1 direction. And it's gonna, it should make the system a whole lot better and the water quality a whole lot better.
Someone asked why the town is putting in a water line down Route 40 in front of the proposed hotel site. Incidentally, we're putting a water line by the hotel site. There's no linkage between what they're doing out there, so people are gonna say, ooh, is the town providing a water line for the hotel? No, this was planned before the hotel guy came along. But basically the water line, the second loop will go from the bowling alley, or the terminus of the line at the bowling alley, to the front gate approximately. Where it'll tie in right there at the main gate entrance where the tank is, when you're pulling in there. In that general vicinity.
About 3,000 feet, right?
There you go. Yeah. But we're not doing it for the hotel, but the hotel can hook onto it at some point. Okay. Excuse me, it's y'all's time out. Did I answer your question, Mr. Hammer?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Lastly, I'll wrap up with the next slide, why B&B? You know, what sets B&B apart from any other engineering firm? You know, hopefully some of the things that we've already said here today shows that. But just a few key points, our proximity to the town. You know, our office is 35 minutes away in South Hill. With so much work going on with Blackstone and other communities in the area of the county of Amelia, we seem to be every week we're coming through Blackstone for one thing or the other. If you have something come up or a problem, again, we're 35 minutes away. We could be here, and on top of it, we got an ongoing construction project. There's a problem. I can tell you, I mean, Randy, myself, I mean, we get up if we need to and drive out here, and we figure out what the problem is, figure out the solution, and keep the project rolling on. Our understanding of the work, working with a limited budget and developing cost-effective solutions. Our work is Southside Virginia. You know, it's not any big metropolitan areas with deep pockets. We're used to having tight budgets and trying to make the most of it and try to stretch it as far as we can. Something I know Philip knows we do, but you guys probably don't. We often develop a scope for the project, a cost estimate for the project, and our engineering services based on that. And then we're going through the project and we find something else and, you know, want to add, well, can we add this or can we add that? and it's adding to the construction cost of the project. But more times than not, we don't ever increase our fees. I don't know any other engineering firm that wouldn't do that. You're working on a design for a treatment plant or something like that, and say you want to add a generator to it. Any engineering firm, any other firm would be, oh yeah, I'd be happy to. Oh, he signed this change order for another $6,000 for our design of that. We try not to do that. We don't do that in most cases. But if it's too high or we got too much involved and with it, then sometimes we have to. But a lot of times we don't like to nickel and dime our clients. We like to see them get the most for their money. Our past performance on projects. I'm not going to go back into everything we just talked about, but things with the sewer project and the success that was, and other projects around here in town. Most recently, Main Street and all the new storm sewer and the pavement down through there. I don't know if we've had a big rain, a big gully washer during the daytime since that work has been completed to see how much better that storm sewer is working to keep the roads clear and drivable. But I know when that does come, you'll see how effective it is. Engineering solutions which are reliable, cost-effective, and easy to operate. Some of the things I think of are just the water and the wastewater treatment plant. When they were built by the government back in the late 40s, early 50s, and kind of remained unchanged for a long time. And then B&B came in was about mid-90s, Mac, and we did some upgrades and improvements to those to basically get them in compliance with the current regulations for just as cost-effective as possible and ease of operation. And I feel like that's been a success for that. And then our long-term history and knowledge of the town's infrastructure, personnel, and operations. As I mentioned in the beginning, we've been fortunate to work with Blackstone since about the mid-90s. And, I myself have been with B&B since 2003. And, one of the first projects that I worked on was with the town of Blackstone. And, we hope to just continue that same relationship. I don't think there's any other engineering firm that has anywhere close to the wealth of knowledge that we have of the town and the surrounding area. So.
One other thing we didn't bring up, Mr. Epps, the partner, one of the partners of the firm, he's a registered structural engineer. And when you did your downtown revitalization, he was crawling all up in the rafters and everywhere. He wanted to see everything. But the point is, he's a structural engineer. We not only water and sewer and site planners, we do structural work too, if that comes up.
That's an excellent point, Mac. There's something else to add here is I hope one of the things that we've been able to demonstrate is our diversity. We're not just water and wastewater specialists. We're not just site development engineers that want to do a road or a street design or a park or something. Or, we're not just structural engineers. We're not just environmentalists. We have, almost, all of the town's professional engineering needs in-house. So you shop with us and, you don't have to go anywhere else. And anything that we don't do in-house, we have subcontractors that we work with on a regular basis. Some little things I can think of, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, like for HVAC or something like that. We've got firms that we work with, geotechnical, all those items on a regular basis, and we partner with them, and the relationship is almost as if they are in-house. You would never know otherwise that they were a subcontractor.
So start to finish, you're right there, start to finish from
Yes, sir.
one end to the other.
Absolutely, and that's a great point because, not just Blackstone, but every one of our clients, as I mentioned, our work is Southside Virginia. We don't have a client where, we go after a job, we get it, and say something went wrong, and we made a mistake. And let's face it, I'll admit it, we make mistakes from time to time. We don't just, all right, well, we won't work with them anymore, and then slowly slip away. You're our clients. You're in our our back door, our community, you know, our reputation is at stake. It's not just another job for us. We're not here interviewing for another job or something. You know, it's our reputation on the line. And so we have a problem come up start to finish. You know, we're going to see it through. We're going to make sure it's done right. I heard a phrase the other day, you know, we like to get the work done at a profit, but at a loss if must. You know, we're here, we see every one of our projects through. So. Any other questions?
No, it was a very good presentation. We appreciate you coming.
Yeah, you come
Thank you.
from A to Z, a whole lot I didn't know about it.
Well, good. Well, that's what we were hoping. You know, it's like I said, we work with Philip almost daily. It's not often we get to be in front of the council. So thank you all for your time.
And thank you for coming.
Very quickly, and the council knows, the TAC 21 project, I guess you guys have done the basics on. We're working for the general engineering, or the general administration services, HDLA. Did they select you guys to be their
Yes.
engineers? You guys worked that out?
I'm not under contract, but I'm working with them. Yes.
So you know that TAP 21 around the ball fields and all that project we talked about, we have some grant money. They were selected, B&B was selected by the HDLA, I don't know the proper term for them, but they'll be
Harvey Design Landscape Architecture.
they'll be the main administrator of the project, and for engineering services, they selected them. The town obviously told them it was fine with us for them to do it, but they'll be working under HDLA as a subcontractor. The second thing is, we're gonna have to jump into a project very quickly. As soon as council on the February council meeting decides they're gonna go, the town council has decided that we will move forward with the East End water and sewer irregardless of whether we get any housing assistance, okay? We will apply for a housing grant. How quickly can you get going on East End? I know we got a lot going on, but we have flat out got to get going on that thing. Our water lines ain't getting any better. And we've been telling people for 3 years how bad.
We could
What's
probably
the schedule?
start design around the 1st of March, and you typically about 90 days.
You think it'll take you 90 days to do that?
Typically, yeah. Well, we could try to speed it up quicker. Are you thinking of and then getting out to bid then right away?
We're gonna do it irregardless
Okay.
of whether
And
we
then
get and we're not gonna wait till October to find out whether we get a housing grant.
and lump some of these other projects like Amelia Street in with it, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. And we'll get a better deal.
More you put together, the better your price.
Yeah. And
Amelia Avenue isn't killing it. It's
Yep.
just something I want to move to, and Randy and I talked, so you guys know. We put aside about $200,000 for Amelia Avenue, cash-wise. We have $200,000 in cash. We budgeted about $130,000, and Randy said, well, you didn't budget enough there for it. So I've been putting a little bit every pay period. I've been putting a little bit more. We got about $200,000 cash to do the water and sewer portion. Nobody's complaining. No one's getting sick, but ultimately we want to get the water and sewer out of that right of way, and then build sidewalks and curb and gutter and repave the street, make it look more attractive. But I don't want to do that until the water and sewer is done. We've had some sewer problems over there. So yes, I think everything could be bid out at the same time.
But that's a good example to take Philip asked us to relocate the water and sewer. And that was all our scope was to do, is to show where we put the water and sewer at. But we actually went and knew he wanted to design, widen the road, put sidewalk, curb and gutter in. So we did the whole design just to make sure that the future would not impact the relocation of the water and sewer. And it come to find out, if I hadn't done the whole entire design, that the sewer, I would have put it in the wrong place, because we need storm drainage to go in there for that new street and curb and gutter improvement. So that's goes what Sam was talking about. We did more than our scope, just to look out for the town, knowing we only gonna get paid this much. But we rather not down the road you call and say, well, you put the sewer in the wrong place, we can't do our storm drainage. So that's a good example.
We appreciate your work.
thank you. It means a lot. It does.
Yeah. Good presentation.
Right.
All right, good presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Nice meeting you.
All right.
We gotta review our permit. But
We gotta get them off the road, got plenty of time.
I'm gonna head over to the plant, and I'll get y'all.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see you then.
Bye-bye. Hey, wait. Is it any can over there you can steal? Any can over there you can steal? Underneath.
He says you like this.
Two. Give me two. I don't think he missed two. You want me?
Sure.
Y'all want to just hang tight, or y'all want to do anything else in between?
No, don't have it. We just gonna hang tight. We hang tight.
I'll be back.
All right.
Are you supposed to stand?
Still on, yeah.
Huh?
Are you supposed to stand?
That mic is still on.
You want me to turn it off until?
Well, we got about 15 minutes.
Somebody was keeping in the winter just now.